So we will certainly continue to face the enemy with even greater spirit to thwart their plans, and God willing, as I mentioned, this evil will also be repelled in the best possible way. It has become clear to the world that if you don't stop an act of evil, if you don't put out a fire, it will definitely spread. Let me tell you, the crimes of the Zionist regime will not remain limited even to our region. The European countries that are now comfortably justifying the Zionist regime's aggression will certainly not be safe. Sooner or later, the Zionist regime will definitely target even European countries. Maybe today, maybe right now, this statement might sound laughable. But history will show that, for its own reasons and with its own excuses, the Zionist regime will inevitably turn its attention to European countries sooner or later. One of the consequences of the Zionist regime's aggression against our country was that, for security reasons and to ensure the safety of our fellow citizens and others who intended to travel to Iran, we imposed certain restrictions on flights. And unfortunately, this situation affected our dear compatriots and others who might have wanted to leave or enter Iran. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in order to resolve the problems faced by this group of our compatriots, considered several measures. In many countries, especially in places where there are large Iranian communities or locations considered main departure points for flights to Iran, we took action through our embassies and consulates. We even helped accommodate Iranians in places owned by the Islamic Republic of Iran, including mosques and Iranian schools. We did everything we could to minimize the problems our compatriots faced. Regarding the pilgrims specifically, since I believe around 84 or 85,000 Iranians had traveled to the Holy Land for Hajj. So we made special arrangements for them. I think so far about 26,000 pilgrims have returned to our country through the land border with Iraq. At this point, I should thank the governments of Saudi Arabia and Iraq for their excellent cooperation. Both countries have been very helpful so that we could bring our dear pilgrims back to the country by land. If this process continues, we expect that, God willing, we will be able to bring all the pilgrims back to the country within the next week at most. Iran Press, please go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Bagiai. Simultaneously with the aggression of the Zionist regime and the United States on the territory of the Islamic Republic of Iran, this concern has arisen among Arab countries and neighboring countries of the Islamic Republic of Iran about the escalation of tension and crisis and the spread of the crisis to those countries. How do you assess this concern about rising tensions among Arab and neighboring countries?
We have good relations with Arab, regional, and Islamic countries. The Islamic Republic of Iran, as a country committed to the policy of good neighborliness, has had growing relations in all areas with all regional and Islamic countries over the past few years. As an example, let me tell you, the result is the very clear statement that was issued during the meeting of the foreign ministers of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation member countries in Istanbul, which explicitly condemns the attack by the Zionist regime and the United States on the Islamic Republic of Iran. Before a statement by 21 Arab and Islamic countries was issued condemning the actions of the Israeli regime, the Gulf Cooperation Council, the Arab League. So, if there is any concern, which there certainly should be, that concern should be directed toward the aggressive and expansionist actions of the Zionist regime. Arab and Muslim countries have every right to be worried about the ongoing expansionist policies of the Zionist regime. The Zionist regime is the only regime in the world that is currently occupying the territory of two neighboring countries. It is the only actor engaged in the genocide of Muslims and Arabs. Therefore, the Islamic Republic of Iran shares this concern with all the countries in the region and beyond, and there is no doubt about it. The Zionist regime, along with the blind support it receives from the United States, is the most important and greatest source of evil, insecurity, and threat to international peace and security in the world. Don't forget that the UN Secretary General, in response to the actions of the United States, which is now considered an accomplice of the Zionist regime, explicitly describes the actions of the U.S. as a threat to international peace and security. Al-Masirah.
Hamal, Mr. Spokesperson, after 11 days of the imposed war against the Islamic Republic of Iran, what is the morale within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and how are Iranian embassies abroad performing and clarifying and presenting the positions of the Islamic Republic of Iran?
A person, when defending their homeland, their dignity, and their country's independence. When you are certain you are in the right, defending itself becomes a source of morale. It builds morale. We know that we are in the right. We know that our country has been unjustly attacked. We keep our past in mind. We know that during the lifetime of people like myself, our country was assaulted by the Ba'athist regime of Iraq. For 8 years, Iranians fought with all their might to prevent their honor, independence, and the territorial integrity of beloved Iran from being threatened. So, we will certainly continue to face the enemy with even greater spirit to thwart their plans, and God willing, as I mentioned, this evil will also be repelled in the best possible way. Please go ahead.
Hello to everyone, and to you as well. Mr. Batiai, considering that the Zionist regime is not a member of the NPT and has absolutely no transparency regarding its nuclear weapons and infrastructure, isn't the very nature of this regime a threat to all the countries in the region? And doesn't the silence we're seeing from the Western community make it likely that the regime's next target will be other countries in the region? Thank you.
Look, it's always said that silence and indifference in the face of evil, in the face of oppression, leads to inaction, and failing to act against evil, against oppression, against injustice, turns you into an accomplice and a partner in crime. What is currently happening in some European countries, in particular, is a clear example of this situation. If you follow the developments in our region over the past 8 decades, or even just look at the last 2 years, you'll see that the lack of serious action by the international community against the actions of the Zionist regime has step by step led to an increase in the scope of this regime's aggressions and crimes. If the international community had fulfilled its obligations under the Genocide Convention, If international institutions, including the International Criminal Court, the United Nations Security Council, the United Nations Human Rights Council, and the International Committee of the Red Cross had been allowed to take action against the violations of international humanitarian law in Gaza and the West Bank and hold the leaders of the Zionist regime accountable. If the United States had allowed the UN Security Council to issue a resolution demanding a real halt to the regime's crimes in Gaza and the West Bank, then certainly the regime's actions in Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and now in Iran would not have continued. It has become clear to the world that if you don't stop an act of evil, if you don't put out a fire, it will definitely spread. Let me tell you, the crimes of the Zionist regime will not remain limited even to our region. The European countries that are now comfortably justifying the Zionist regime's aggression will certainly not be safe. Sooner or later, the Zionist regime will definitely target even European countries. Maybe today, maybe right now, this statement might sound laughable. But history will show that, for its own reasons and with its own excuses, the Zionist regime will inevitably turn its attention to European countries sooner or later. And I think by then it will be far too late for regret.